Tonight, unmasked, the man accused of a destructive Australia Day backlash at Woolworths stores speaks to 7 News. The Premier backs away from the $2.7 billion Gabba redevelopment. Is the rebuild doomed? A Mackay woman takes on a car thief and wins.
Get out of my car! Get out of my car!
As police take down teens in Logan. Supermarkets threatened with legal action over bogus discounts. The new platform to rent out almost anything you own and make extra cash. And more Aussie gold, this time at the Emmys.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Max Futcher.
Good evening. Tonight we can unmask the vandal accused of a graffiti attack on a Brisbane Woolworths store, all because of Australia Day merchandise. The 40-year-old claims an out-of-body experience triggered the destructive spree.
His in-your-face messages demanded attention. His reckless antics ordered evacuations. Yet the vandal allegedly responsible for the Woolworths graffiti attack begs for forgiveness.
I feel terrible about it all because it's not only wrong to do that, but it's haunting. It's shocking. It's violent.
Frank admissions from 40-year-old father of 2 Travis Profke, whose guilt finally caught up with him last night when he handed himself into police.
I just said, yeah, it was me. It was me. Hands up.
It was me, he says, in a physical sense, but not in a normal mental state, when he spray-painted the messages Jan 26 and Boycott Woolies on the Tenerife store before igniting a flare.
Once the CCTV footage was there, I'm like, that was an out-of-body experience. It wasn't a conscious episode.
He does stand by his words to the supermarket giant.
I was triggered by their speech the other day, we're not going to sell Australia Day gear.
But not by his actions.
It wasn't right. It wasn't the right way to go about it.
Mr Profke will face court next month over the graffiti attack here, where he faces a maximum penalty of 5 years behind bars.
Intense apology, and I hope you can see it in my face and hear it in my voice that that was the wrong thing to do.
A magistrate will be the true judge of his remorse. Garth Burley, 7 News.
Parts of the southeast have again been drenched as heavy rain continues to soak the region. Let's bring in Tony Auden now. Tony, some areas have flash flooding.
Yes, Max, after heavy falls on the Gold Coast overnight, it all pushed inland from late morning, and we still have plenty of wet weather across the region this evening. Now, a few spots around the scenic rim picked up 50 to 60 millimetres of rain in just a short time, with some flash flooding around Boona. Warnings were issued briefly, but have since been cancelled. Now, we do have the potential for more storms on Thursday and a high chance of a cyclone in the Coral Sea. Max, I'll be back soon with all the details.
All right, thanks, Tony. Let's go to Sam Payne now. Sam, an overnight deluge has created an incredible sight there on the Gold Coast.
Max, this is the result of more than 150 millimetres of rain falling in the catchment above the Hinds Dam in the past 24 hours. It began spilling last week, but has now reached a height of almost half a metre above the top of the concrete wall. Hinds Dam is now at 102%, and there's still a lot more water on the way. This was Perlingbrook Falls in Springbrook this afternoon, higher up in the Hinds catchment. An incredible amount of runoff for last night's deluge is cascading off the cliff edge. Without any further rain, Hinds Dam is expected to continue to spill for at least another week.
Sam Payne on the Gold Coast. Well, it's looking more likely the Gabba rebuild will never get off the ground, with claims the Miles government is already determined to walk away from the project. The allegations come from the opposition, who today declared their hand on this divisive project.
Once the centrepiece for Brisbane's Olympic success story, now a $2.7 billion question mark.
I'm concerned about, as are Queenslanders, concerned about that cost, concerned about the division that it's causing in our community.
The planned Gabba knockdown and replacement 50,000-seat stadium in further doubt, with the opposition alleging stakeholders have been briefed on its demise.
The reality is the government are telling people at the moment that the Gabba knockdown's not going to happen.
That claim is refuted and rebuffed. soft.
I have not, and you'll need to ask the person making those claims why he made them up.
Stephen Miles is a buffoon. He is not up to the job.
Insults aside, the government has committed to a 60-day review of the project, but it's yet to start. It will assess financial viability and take on board local consultation.
There needs to be an avenue for people to, gather to celebrate the things they're excited about, and if sport's one of them, then that's important.
Why not build it big? As they say, build it and they will come.
Once finally completed, the review will report back on all 2032 infrastructure, including the $2.5 billion Brisbane Live venue. It's supposed to be built along Roma Street here in the CBD, but it too has hit hurdles.
They are now secretly looking for alternative locations.
As the Olympic master plan goes back to the drawing board.
I want to make sure that we have a plan that Queenslanders can get behind.
And Joel Dry joins me in the studio now. Joel, as well as making these claims, the opposition has been quite vocal on its own plans.
Yeah, Max, the opposition leader and his deputy today were as strong as they've been on the fact that a knockdown and rebuild won't happen under an LNP government. Previously, they've said they'd await a business case. Now, they say they do not see how a business case could support a complete rebuild. While we will need to wait a few months for this review to happen, all the rhetoric from both sides of politics is pointing to bad news for a brand new Gabba.
All right, thanks for that, Joel. Now, to the moment a Mackay woman confronts thieves trying to steal her car.
Help! Get out of my car! Get out of my car!
Security cameras caught 3 youths lurking outside Mandy Grace's home in the middle of the night. Armed with a hammer, they climbed through a window and stole her keys. She raced outside to confront them, armed with a knife, while on the phone to police. The boy behind the wheel panicked and snapped the keys in the ignition before running off. Let's go to Ned Balm. Ned, police have discovered stolen vehicles in raids at Logan Village.
Yeah, they have, Max. 6 vehicles and 5 people have been charged as a result of it. Now, Polair located the vehicles on a rural property in Logan Village on Sunday. Shortly after that, they had boots on the ground. Detectives finding a number of utes, SUVs, a van, and even a motorcycle hidden under a tarp in bushland. It's understood that these vehicles were actually stolen over a period of 3 months, not only in southeast Queensland, but also into northern New South Wales. The 5 men that were charged, aged between 27 and 42, have been slapped with theft and unlawful use of motor vehicle charges. Now, the police are hoping to have those stolen goods returned to their owners in a matter of weeks.
Ned Balm reporting. A Queensland community is mourning the death of a young mine worker in central Queensland. Operations have been suspended at the Saraji coal mine, the site of another disaster 5 years ago.
A young Queenslander, 27-year-old Luke O'Brien, went to work yesterday but didn't come home.
Pretty heartbreaking, yeah, pretty tough.
Luke was working in the Fuel Bay area with another worker at the Saraji coal mine 200 kilometres southwest of his hometown of Mackay when tragedy struck.
One of the men became pinned between 2 vehicles and suffered crush injuries.
Luke loved his job in the mines, along with his girlfriend, family and mates, and had a passion for speedway racing.
He loved it for years. His father raced it for many years.
BHP, part owners of the BMA-run mine, said all operations were ceased yesterday to reflect on this tragic event and refocus on safe ways of working.
From here, we'll work with BMA and worker representatives to understand what happened in this incident and avoid an incident like this happening again.
Sadly, this is not the first death. Alan Houston was killed at the same mine 5 years ago.
It's the most horrific thing for this to happen to a family.
For Wendy and her family, they still have no answers 5 years on as to why Alan died at work.
No, there's been no answers. Are they prioritising production over safety?
Investigations will continue, but for 2 families, it's 2 deaths too many. Steve Hart, 7 News.
The consumer watchdog is putting supermarkets on notice, threatening legal action if it finds evidence of bogus discounts. The Prime Minister says he's open to giving the ACCC tougher powers to investigate allegations of price gouging at the checkout.
In major supermarkets across the nation, down every aisle, sits the promise of big savings in the form of specials.
You get really wary of these big stores and you sort of flip underneath to see what the real price was, and there's not much difference.
I have to decide between, do I pay the rent or do I buy, a week's groceries?
The consumer regulator is considering suing big supermarket chains, investigating what it calls was now pricing, known as specials.
If a business puts up its prices, say 10%, and the following day announces it's cutting them 10%, then that is misleading and deceptive conduct and illegal.
The ACCC says it will not hesitate to take action against large suppliers who are misleading customers about prices.
My government is concerned about the price of what consumers pay.
The major supermarkets stressing we are not aware of any actual or threatened regulatory litigation in relation to pricing issues. We work hard to ensure we comply with all Australian consumer laws. The major supermarkets could face multi-million-dollar fines if found guilty. But tonight, the opposition also wants an ACCC investigation into price gouging.
This is where we need transparency of fair prices from the farm gate to your plate.
If the ACCC asks for more powers, my government's up for giving it to them.
Isabel Mullen, 7 News.
And Rachel Baxter, the Queensland Premier, will go head-to-head with supermarket bosses over skyrocketing prices.
Yeah, that's right, Max. Stephen Miles has confirmed he will meet with executives from Coles, Woolworths and Aldi on Thursday, calling for an explanation over a discrepancy in the amount farmers are paid and what shoppers are charged for. The cost of living crisis has seen the price of many grocery items double in just 3 years.
And I also want to hear from them what they have done and what they intend to do to address fresh food pricing in their stores.
Now, both Coles and Woolworths have denied engaging in price gouging, flagging inflation as the major cause for high grocery prices, including fresh fruit and vegetables. Max.
Rachel Baxter with that report. There are fears of a new flashpoint in the Middle East as the US condemns rocket fire from Iran. It came just hours after another American ship was targeted in the Red Sea, with the crisis taking a growing toll on supply lines.
Rockets in the sky, not in Israel or Gaza, but northern Iraq, fired near a US consulate. America tonight condemning the strike as reckless. Iran claims it's taken out the Israeli spy agency Mossad's headquarters there. Today, Iranian-backed Houthi rebels also hit an American ship in the Red Sea after US and UK forces last week carried out airstrikes to disrupt attacks.
They fired on our ships and our sailors. It was the biggest attack on the Royal Navy for decades. And so we acted.
Today, revealing 13 targets were hit, including drones and a cruise missile launcher.
We strongly condemn the Houthi attacks that are targeting commercial ships of all nationalities.
This was Eilat port today in southern Israel, the gateway to the Red Sea. Exports stranded on land, no imports on the horizon.
The waters are calm, but the lights are flashing red here in the Gulf of Aqaba. The Houthis are hell-bent on crippling global supply chains, so they've made it too dangerous and too costly to dock ships here in southern Israel.
Ships that used to travel through the Red Sea or the Suez Canal are now diverting around the Cape of Good Hope. That includes vessels carrying Australian exports, including cattle and iron ore, that can add 20 days to a journey.
Terror organizations are smelling weakness, they are smelling fear, and they are smelling hesitation.
There could be further strikes from Australia's allies.
It wouldn't be right to speculate on future action.
In Tel Aviv, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
The Fire Minister has met with the organisation raising concerns of a toxic culture at the Queensland Fire and Emergency Service. The Rural Fire Brigade Association has gone public with allegations of bullying and harassment within QFES. But Nikki Boyd says she hasn't seen a single complaint.
No stakeholders that have come into a meeting with me have raised any specific allegation at all.
It's systemic. It's a toxic systemic culture. This is not an organisation that can investigate itself.
The Minister wouldn't respond to calls for an independent investigation, saying she's discussing options for reform. A skipper who steered a New Year's Eve cruise into a sandbank on the Gold Coast has given a bizarre excuse for his actions in court. Mel Whiteman, he was caught drunk at the time.
Max, the boatie says he didn't know he was drinking, mistaking hard solo for the regular soft drink. More than 100 passengers had to be rescued after the boat ran aground in the Broadwater. Keith Tarapipipi Kippenberg's lawyer says he did intend to move towards shallow water because of problems with the motor. Do you really think that people will believe that you didn't know you were drinking? You're almost 3 times the legal limit. The skipper was fined $2,000 and his marine licence disqualified for 3 months. The Australian Maritime Safety Authority is also investigating.
Mel Whiteman on the Gold Coast. Donald Trump has just delivered a crushing victory in the first serious test of his run back to the White House. In the first Republican caucus, Iowa has voted overwhelmingly for him to be their nominee.
Iowa is an icebox right now, gripped by a deadly cold snap, but it has just supercharged Donald Trump's mission to win back the presidency.
We want to thank the great people of Iowa. Thank you. We love you all.
It took barely half an hour, and with just 1% of the votes counted,
0-7, Donald Trump.
It was already a landslide.
NBC News can now project that Donald Trump has won the Iowa caucus. Donald Trump, the former president, running away with victory.
At last count, he'd won 50%, more than double his nearest rival, Ron DeSantis. In these parts, people follow Donald Trump religiously.
God will look at this country and deal with this country accordingly.
It's a God thing. We've got to do what God wants.
Oh, yeah, we're going for Trump.
Even the bitter cold couldn't stop these devoted Republicans.
Gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Of course, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump has taken his first big step towards a rematch with Joe Biden, but after a thumping win here, he's switching off the campaign and back to court for a defamation trial in New York. But for now, it is all about Iowa, a state where politics and preaching go hand in hand. That may have just resurrected a Donald Trump presidency.
The big night is going to be in November when we take back our country. Thank you very much, everybody.
In Des Moines, Iowa, Miley Hogan, 7 News.
Australian star Sarah Snook is the toast of television after winning Best Lead Actress at the Emmy Awards. Snook was honoured for her performance in Succession, the year's hit show on the small screen.
On TV's biggest night, a hat-trick for the most talked-about series.
Succession.
Succession winning back-to-back Emmys for a 3rd year, and tonight it can claim Best Lead Actress. Sarah Snook, Succession. The Adelaide sensation unstoppable. Sarah Snook's 3rd gong this year with an emotional nod to her baby daughter.
The proximity of her life growing inside me gave me the strength to do this and this performance, and I love you so much.
4 seasons as the dysfunctional on-screen Roy family have created a lasting bond.
I love Sarah, she's fantastic. She's an extraordinary actress.
6 trophies for Succession equal to The Bear, taking out Best Comedy.
I love you, Eben.
And Best Comedic Actor. 5 Emmys for the road rage limited comedy series hit Beef.
I'm really grateful and humbled by everyone who watched the show and reached out about their own personal struggles.
Melbourne's Elizabeth Debicki as Princess Diana, pipped by Jennifer Coolidge in The White Lotus.
I want to thank all the evil gays. You know, I just really...
Sydney's Murray Bartlett also missing out, but the stars were shining on a silver carpet.
Postponed for 4 months due to the Hollywood strikes, tonight the Emmys are back, celebrating the biggest names on the small screen.
Pops of colour and sparkle for 75 years of TV magic. In Los Angeles, Jacqueline Robson, 7 News.
Trapped inside his apartment for 2 weeks. Next, the broken elevator bungle that has a Kangaroo Point man demanding answers. The moment police take down teens over a wild M1 joyride. The punishment for an elderly couple caught keying luxury cars on the north side. And how to cash in on renting out just about anything around your house. We have new video now of 3 teens being arrested on the side of the M1 at Yatala. Police say the trio, aged 13 and 14, were in a stolen car. Pol Air video shows them handcuffed on the side of the highway before they were put in the back of a police vehicle. The arrests were part of a 9-day police task force targeting youth crime in the Logan area. An elderly couple who keyed luxury cars at a Northside shopping centre have pleaded guilty to willful damage. 70-year-old Raymond Edwards and his wife Barbara were caught on a Tesla camera vandalising 2 vehicles in October at Brookside. Today, the pair was sentenced to 12-month good behaviour orders and ordered to pay restitution. No convictions were recorded. A former basketball star has been trapped in his Brisbane apartment for weeks after his building's elevator broke down. Steve McLeod now suffers mobility issues and no one can tell him when he'll be able to go outside again.
Under the iconic Story Bridge, prestigious living just became a living hell.
Doesn't seem to be a plan.
Steve McLeod has been trapped on the 6th floor of his Kangaroo Point apartment for 16 days.
When we got up the next morning, the lift wasn't working.
The former Brisbane Bullets star lives with an autoimmune disease that's left him with mobility issues. With no working elevator, the fire escape is the only way in or out.
Clearly, they've just gone, well, there's nothing we can do.
Leaving Steve to rely on friends to bring food and keep spirits high.
But I think there's some responsibility from everybody corporate.
The site manager today avoiding our cameras.
She's just not here at the moment.
I just saw her.
Yeah, do you want to speak to them?
Hi, we just wanted to talk to you about the elevator.
No, she doesn't want to speak.
The body corporate telling 7 News residents have been receiving texts about the progress of repairs.
People have been advised at every step of the way.
Management says the only way to fix the elevator is with a part that's on order from overseas. It's supposed to arrive on Friday, but whether it will remains to be seen.
I couldn't say. That would be giving a false assurance, I think. Hopefully it is.
Steve and all the residents hoping so too. Rachel Baxter, 7 News.
There's a push to keep energy drinks away from children. The alarming study finding more health risks than previously thought. New advice for parents. Don't miss that special report coming up soon. Also, Queensland's drug driving shame calls for mandatory testing after all crashes. Insurance companies under fire for steep increases to car and home policies. Queensland Police try to wrangle cattle on the loose. And Mary's first official day as Queen of Denmark. One in 6 young Queenslanders has admitted to getting behind the wheel under the influence of illicit drugs. It's prompted fresh calls for mandatory roadside drug testing for drivers involved in crashes across the state.
It's a pain Russell Field has been forced to know.
They've got to start saying, right, there's zero tolerance.
His son Matthew, his partner Kate and unborn baby Miles were all taken at the hands of a juvenile driving high on drugs.
People in general seem to think driving with substance in their system seems to be the norm.
An alarming new report from RACQ has revealed 1 in 6 young Queenslanders has admitted to taking that risk.
Fatalities from drug driving is now equal to that of drink driving.
More than 20% of fatalities in 2022 were caused by drug drivers. In 4 years, 267 people died in drug-related crashes. Those aged 18 to 24 are the worst offenders. Prescription drugs an issue too, with 8% driving while under the influence.
Every time a police officer attends a crash, they should be doing drug testing.
The most common substance used is cannabis, accounting for more than 80% of cases. Some Queenslanders were even found to be under the influence of multiple drugs.
There is a plan in place to increase roadside drug testing.
Drug tests are more expensive and a bit more complicated.
But a worthwhile cost to save lives. Anna McGraw, 7 News.
Australia will start making missiles next year after the Albanese government signed a $37 million contract with US company Lockheed Martin. The guided missiles fired from the back of a truck will have a 70-kilometre range, with the first batch made in Sydney.
As you all know, anyone who's witnessed recent conflicts, we live in the missile age.
The government also plans to acquire long-range strike missiles. Queenslanders are being hit hard as car and home insurance premiums go through the roof. More than half of Aussies are facing a price hike as insurers pass on costs.
Barbara Check was floored when she opened her newest insurance renewal notice.
I just simply couldn't believe it.
The home and contents insurance on her Pascoe Vale property is going up 64%.
We're seeing in premiums rise anywhere from 10% per year all the way up to 100% per year.
1 in 8 households in Australia now needs to spend 4 weeks or more of gross household income to get a meaningful insurance policy.
The rising premiums are being blamed on recent weather events and inflation in the building industry. More than half of Australians are facing soaring car insurance too, leaving around 1 in 4 vehicles on the road without adequate insurance as owners struggle to pay.
The price increases we've seen in car insurance outstrip inflation pretty significantly.
Insurance experts say despite the price hikes, there are still deals to be had, which can be found on comparison websites.
Never auto-renew when your insurance policy does come through. Always test it out against those other insurers in the market.
Advice worth taking.
I'm a loyal customer. Shopping around every year is not something I do naturally.
Sarah Jones, 7 News.
Runaway cows have sparked wild scenes on the roads of Rockhampton. The animals were seen hoofing it away from police. A trailer carrying the calves crashed while turning near a major shopping centre this afternoon. Officers from the police stock squad were called in to catch 2 escapees. Danish politicians say they have confidence in King Frederick with Queen Mary by his side. Less than 24 hours after ascending the throne, the royal couple has got down to work as their new expanded roles begin.
In a snow-swept Danish capital, day 1 for the fairy tale royals. King Frederick, 18-year-old Crown Prince Christian, and Queen Mary.
Unfortunately, I wasn't here yesterday, so today I thought, now I have to see them. And I have admired and loved the royal family since I was 2 years old.
For the new king, his abdicated mother will never be far away for advice and support. This, the first time Mary didn't have to bow to Margrethe. Both now queens, they are essentially now equals. Inside Denmark's parliament, hurrah! They welcomed the new sovereign and the Australian-born queen they have come to love and praise.
I Hendes Majestæt, Dronning Mary.
The Speaker of the House describing Mary as the King's wise and composed wife.
Royal duties are, of course, nothing new for the King and Queen, but their titles and responsibilities certainly are. And with them comes increased scrutiny and attention on Frederick and Mary.
Of course, they are young compared to, for example, King Charles in the United Kingdom.
Now it's more than the Danes and the Australians who will take note of this royal pair as Frederick begins his reign. In Copenhagen, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
Slamming into southeast rail bridges, shocking new video of clumsy drivers. Next, alarming new evidence about the effects of energy drinks on teenagers. And are you sitting on a gift card goldmine? Forgotten cards leaving billions unspent. WA police had raided the home of a Catholic bishop and questioned him for hours over allegations of historical sex offences. Child abuse squad detectives helped seize boxes of material from the home of the former Bishop of Broome, Christopher Saunders, the most senior Catholic in Australia, under a sex crimes investigation.
It is an investigation into historical sex offences, so it may take some time to work through the new information.
Police acted after 7 News revealed top-secret Vatican reports alleging Saunders had up to 71 young victims. The Queensland Tertiary Admissions Centre has apologised for frustrating delays issuing university offers and is promising a comprehensive review. After delays last week, QTAC was asking for patience yesterday as a promised release time came and went. The board has acknowledged the delays have placed strain on students and their families. The next round of offers is due to go out next Wednesday. We have shocking video tonight of dangerous drivers crashing into bridges, causing hundreds of hours of train delays and hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage. Queensland Rail is pleading with motorists to take care.
At Allwood Street, Indooroopilly, traffic flows freely until this. A heavy vehicle fails to clear the low clearance bridge. In the same spot a week later, a careless caravan driver makes the same mistake.
It's very frustrating.
And despite early warnings and height signs, it happens time and time again.
Every bridge is posted with the vehicle height on it. We have detection monitors in place.
Between January and November last year, there were 69 bridge strikes across the southeast. That's up on the 57 in 2022 and 59 in 2021. More than $15 million has been spent on protection beams and sensors to fast-track the emergency response.
Last year, those bridge strikes resulted in almost 200 hours of delays.
Apart from delaying trains and risking other road users, drivers who damage rail infrastructure can be fined $1,200 and 4 demerit points. The maximum fine is $12,000.
Help out by planning your trip, knowing your vehicle height, and obeying the road rules.
And prevent the preventable. Georgia Holland, 7 News.
Australians have more than $1 billion worth of unused gift cards, according to research from comparison site Finder. Its survey found women more likely to let their funds expire than men. But any gift card bought after November 2019 must come with a minimum 3-year expiry date. There's a new way to hire just about anything. The app where Queenslanders can rent out their household items, from clothing to tools, even eskies. That story's just ahead on 7 News. Sport time now. Webby, Steve Smith's not an opener for hire.
Not according to Pat Cummins. Maxie, hello everyone. Just ahead, the Aussie captain's change of heart. Plus, the Demon moves through the Australian Open before a breakthrough for Max Purcell. And Winter Wonderland, Bills fans opt for snowballs over beverages in their touchdown celebrations. Pat Cummins has certainly changed his tune on Steve Smith. Adamant Smith wouldn't be opening a week ago. The skipper now calls it a permanent move that had to happen for Smith and his team. It starts against the West Indies tomorrow.
Test match eve in Adelaide, with another lesson in how to get what you want.
Very good, mate, very good.
Cadell Harris hung out with Marnus Labuschagne, adding autographs to an iPhone for his 10th birthday. The big birthday present.
Who else are going to add to that list? Cameron Green, hopefully.
A wish granted by Australia's new number 4. The new opener.
It's as happy and as energetic. I've seen him around the nets the last couple of days.
Last time we asked Pat Cummins, he said Steve Smith would not be moving.
But seeing someone who's basically achieved everything in the game get really excited for a new challenge, you've got to entertain that, I think. Make sure it's a shift that's pretty much permanent.
Take him out early and get into that middle, then it can create some concern for the Australian.
What the Windies would give for a talent like Carl Hooper. Maybe it'll be one of their 3 debutants tomorrow in a squad yearning for more Test cricket, not T20s.
I urge each player to go out there and make a name for yourselves. Play Test cricket for the next 10 years. Simple.
Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
The Heat aren't phased as to who they'll face in Friday's qualifier at the Gold Coast, but will be keeping a close eye on tonight's Scorchers-Sixers clash. Brisbane are more concerned as to whether Cricket Australia released Matt Renshaw from Test duties in time for the clash.
That's very dear to us to get him back for this game. It's in their hands, basically what they do and probably how the Test match is looking at that point in time.
In Perth, an unchanged Scorchers side won the bat flip and have sent the Sixers out to field.
As a captain, I probably prefer to bowl first most of the time and, not really knowing what the wicket is. I would like to know what we need to chase.
Catch the clash right here on 7 after the news. After a scare and a sad end for Milos Raonic, Alex de Minaur progressed to the second round of the Australian Open. Women's world number 1 Iga Swiatek's also through after denying Naomi Osaka a fairy tale comeback.
Australian Max Purcell needed 6 match points to down Hungarian Mate Valkuz through to his home slam second round for the first time, thanks to a vocal crowd.
I was gagging it so hard, so you guys really helped me get over the line that last game. Thank you.
Desperate to join Purcell, Thanasi Kokkinakis doing battle with Austrian Sebastian Offner.
Yeah, it's a fine tiebreaker from the Austrian.
A fight last night against former world number 3 Milos Raonic for Alex Divinor.
Oh, and he's got love 30 here.
The Australian going past or over the 6'4" Canadian.
Oh, he's got it. Tough man to lob, but he gets it.
A hip injury forced Raonic to retire. Next for the world number 10, unseeded Italian Matteo Analdi.
I'm going to be ready for that battle and, you know, whatever happens, happens.
Light reading between games for two-time champion Naomi Osaka. Any tips in the book failed. Caroline Garcia inflicting a first-round exit on the new mum.
I have to tell myself, hey, 6 months ago you were pregnant.
Beaten in a 5-set marathon finishing well after midnight. Tough for 22-year-old Aussie Rinky Hijikata. Long after game, set, match. Andrew McKinlay, 7 News.
A battle of the middlemen's gone up a gear at Red Hill as the Broncos search to fill the immense void created by Tom Flegler's defection. Among the contenders to partner powerhouse prop Payne Haas, Corey Jensen, fueled by a brutal pre-playoffs axing.
Payne Haas's cork quad isn't what's keeping Kevy Walters up at night. Rather, it's settling on the Blues' new Bash brother.
We've lost a fair chunk of the forward pack to play the grand final, and there's a lot of young guys coming through, and then Marty and myself there, they're a bit more experienced.
Junior Giants Xavier Willison and Big Ben Takora, plus newcomer Fletcher Baker, will challenge the veterans for Flegler and Palasia's old roles.
They're pushing me every day, and I'm trying to do the same for them, so we're training hard, and whoever gets the spot will do a good job.
The 30-year-old lacks no motivation, dropped on the eve of finals after missing only 2 regular season games last year.
100% it's disappointing. You want to play in those kind of games and you want to be a part of that thing, but I'm not getting any younger, and I've got to try and find ways to keep myself on my toes and keep getting better.
Flegler's defections had a ripple effect on both sides of the Pine River, putting the squeeze on the Dolphins pack. Cult figure Ray Stone aims to press his case in the club's second trial after undergoing shoulder surgery.
I've had injuries, I've come back from all of them, so yeah, as frustrating as they are, it's just all part of the job.
Mitch Crone, 7 News.
There are sporting fanatics, then there are Buffalo Bills fans. They filled grandstands buried in snow for their team's NFL wildcard playoff with Pittsburgh. Normally hurling beer into the air to celebrate touchdowns, today they threw snowballs.
Oh, there he goes. No one's going to get him. Incredible, breaks it for the touchdown.
The Bills beat the Steelers 31-17. The big boy from Bankstown, Jordan Mailata, and his Philadelphia Eagles are out, capitulating in Tampa Bay 32-9. Just a bit of fun in the snow, Max.
Too cold for me.
You're not wrong.
Thanks, Webby. Checking finance now, and there were some big falls on the Australian share market today. The ASX 200 plunging 81 points. All sectors recorded losses. Utilities and energy shares had the worst performances. Coles and Woolworths both finished lower following that warning from the consumer watchdog that it's considering legal action. The Aussie dollar is buying 66 US cents and $1.07 New Zealand. There's new evidence tonight of the dangers of children guzzling energy drinks. The most detailed study of its kind has linked consumption to severe mental health issues. Experts want to stop them being sold to kids for good.
It's not hard to see why some energy drinks are so appealing to children. Demand driven by colourful and crazed social media campaigns.
The marketing that still occurs online through influencers is still a concern.
Now the most comprehensive study of its kind, drawing data from more than 1 million children, has confirmed a connection to increased physical and mental health issues.
The research has confirmed what we know: energy drinks can cause irrational and impulsive behaviour in children.
Some of the effects include tooth decay, allergic diseases, insulin resistance, ADHD symptoms, depressive behaviours and increased risk of suicidal thoughts.
And one of the main reasons these drinks are considered unsuitable for children is the amount of caffeine in them. For instance, this one has 160 milligrams, equivalent to 2 cups of coffee or 4 cans of cola. There is also a lot of sugar in this Red Bull, 50 grams, equivalent to 20 whole teaspoons.
The combination of sugar and caffeine is a cocktail for disaster.
Having something that interferes with sleep can be extremely detrimental.
Parents encouraged to leave them on the shelves.
All children under the age of 18 are susceptible, and for that reason they should be banned for all children under the age of 18.
Tom Hartley, 7 News.
A team of Australian astronomers has captured a new image of a ball of tightly packed stars known as a globular cluster. It took more than 450 hours of observations to capture this ultra-sensitive image. Now let's take a look at what's on Sunrise tomorrow.
Thanks, guys. Tomorrow on Sunrise, caught in the act.
The incredible new way supermarkets are catching out shoplifters.
They'll never see it coming. See you in the morning, Queensland.
From tools to air skis and household appliances, the new way to rent just about anything and earn extra cash.
And more storms in the southeast later this week, plus a high chance of a cyclone offshore. I'll have all the details coming up next.
Household budgets are hurting with the cost of living crisis, but Brisbane entrepreneurs have come up with a way to save money and make some extra cash. They've developed an app for renting out just about anything lying around the house.
From taking up space to making money.
Both of them are $50 a day.
Tools, a wedding dress, crutches, the things you might buy for a one-time use can be put to use again and again.
There's definitely no limit.
Hiring instead of buying is the way these Brisbane entrepreneurs see shopping habits changing during the cost of living crisis.
Buying brand new is just, I guess it's a struggle.
So they created Hire That, a free app where you can list just about anything to rent out in your local area. The idea was born when costs added up to put on a birthday party.
I thought, oh, how good would it be just to source out locally some items that we could use just for the day or the night.
So far, the most popular products are eskies.
What we've done is bring everyone into the market, your neighbour, the guy down the road.
To reduce spending and waste, Australia produces 75 million tonnes a year. Reduce, reuse, recycle was the guide to preventing waste, but that's now expanded with borrowing and renting included at the top of the chart.
Just by reusing items, you're reducing buying brand new and throwing away things that just get stored in actually your garage shed. Not only have you helped the environment with the packaging, you've also saved money, and the lender has also made money.
Saving the planet and the budget. Rosanna Kingson, 7 News.
Weather time now. Tony, will we get a break from this rain?
Well, Max, showers should ease back tomorrow, but bigger storms are set to return again on Thursday. Now, it was a gloomy old day in the southeast. The Brisbane skyscrapers living up to their name here as a thick bank of cloud loomed overhead. Heavy falls on the Gold Coast overnight, then it all spread inland again through the course of the morning. Warnings issued briefly near and west of Boona this afternoon, and it is all easing back pretty quickly this evening. There's still a lot of water moving around though. Rain totals up to 150 millimetres around Springbrook overnight. Purlingbrook Falls here is in full flow and looking pretty spectacular. Another muggy night, then slightly cooler day under that extra cloud. 23 up to 28 degrees in Brisbane. The Sunshine Coast reached 30. Looking ahead, the monsoon trough hangs around in the north, triggering more heavy showers and storms here, and a low is starting to spin up in the Coral Sea. A cold front set to trigger a huge band of nasty storms over southern states into tomorrow. Now, we could see storms return to the southeast as that system approaches on Thursday. Now, the low now has a high chance of becoming a tropical cyclone out in the Coral Sea by Sunday. Forecast models are very much divided on the movement, but it is possible that it could have some impact on the coast mid to late next week. A long way out. Now, we'll keep you updated in coming days. For the capitals tomorrow, thunderstorms on the cards for Hobart, Melbourne, Canberra and Sydney. Back to northern Queensland, a flood watch remains for Cape York Peninsula, but not on the east coast. Having said that, storms still in the cards for Cairns. Over southern districts, less vigorous showers for the coast and ranges tomorrow, with bigger storms maintaining over the Maranoa and Warrego. Across the southeast, more showers on the forecast, but they should also be a little bit weaker than today and offer up a few more dry breaks in between, especially later in the day. Starting to heat up again with a few more sunny breaks, 21 to 31 degrees in Oxley. Bodie's lighter winds turning northeast on the bay into the afternoon. So in Brisbane, a shower or two with a few more of those dry breaks. 23 tonight, then back up to a top of 31 degrees. Now looking further ahead, bigger storms on the forecast into Thursday afternoon and some severe cells are possible, heating up to 33 degrees. Also stormy on Friday afternoon, but not looking quite as volatile as Thursday. 34s and 35s in Ipswich. Gold Coasters, you could also see storms to finish out the week, then easing back to showers again on Saturday. And on the Sunshine Coast, showers easing back again into Sunday and Monday as a few more sunny breaks start to return. And Max, hopefully we'll see a little bit of blue sky tomorrow too.
Be a nice change. Thanks for that, Tony. And before we go, here's a look at a special report we have for you tomorrow night.
In 7 News, Australia's first smart ear, changing lives.
An amazingly advanced in-ear technology.
How artificial intelligence is reinventing the hearing aid, promising to improve hearing, brain function, and even send medical alerts. 7 News at 6.
And that's all from us this Tuesday. Thanks for your company. We'll have updates throughout the evening, but for now, from all the team, have a good night.